All right, let's dive into something fascinating. We're talking about JP Morgan, one of the biggest banks on the planet, and how they're using a new kind of digital detective to hunt down financial criminals. We're going to break down exactly how this AI works, and more importantly, what it means for the future of fighting fraud.
So, let's start with a question that sounds almost impossible to answer. How do you find one bad actor in a sea of a billion, maybe more transactions? This isn't just looking for a needle in a haystack. No, it's more like trying to find one specific needle in a mountain range made of other needles. How can any team of humans possibly keep up with that?
And the financial stakes, they're just staggering. Before these new AI tools came along, the cost of just looking into potential fraud was completely out of control. Think about this. For every single dollar a bank lost to fraud, they were spending an average of $5.75 just investigating it. That is a completely broken equation, and it was all because the old process just couldn't handle the scale.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds a little. Why was the old way of doing things so, well, broken? It really all boils down to one simple, overwhelming problem. Just way, way too much data. See, the traditional systems, they used these really rigid, old-school rules, and those rules would flag anything that looked even a little bit weird. The result? A complete tsunami of alerts. And the vast majority of them, they were what we call false positives, totally legitimate transactions made by regular people, like you and me. This meant that these highly trained, very expensive human analysts were spending almost all of their time just sifting through static instead of actually hunting for the real criminals. So to fix this mess, JP Morgan turned to a new kind of technology. But I want you to forget the idea of just another algorithm or a simple program. It's much better to think of this as a highly specialized partner, an AI agent that was literally built from the ground up for one very specific, very high-stakes mission. The tech behind this is called Agentic AI, and put really simply, it's a kind of AI that isn't just designed to find patterns, it's designed to act on them. It has the power to monitor, to analyze, and then to actually take specific predefined actions all by itself. So here's how it actually works in 3 pretty simple steps. First, it monitors, and I mean it watches every single transaction all the time, in real time. That's something no human team could ever dream of doing. Second, it analyzes all that data. It uses machine learning to spot these tiny, subtle patterns and anomalies that the old rule-based systems would have completely missed. And third, and this right here is the magic, it triages. It looks at an alert, and if it's obviously low risk, it just resolves it on its own. Poof, gone. That leaves only the genuinely suspicious cases for a human expert to look at. Now, you might be thinking, okay, here we go, another story about the machines taking over. But that's not what this is, not at all. This is actually a story about a really powerful collaboration. It's about how this new technology actually builds a stronger, smarter human team. And this quote really gets to the heart of the whole philosophy here. The goal was never to replace the human experts, it was to give them superpowers. This AI is a tool, and it's designed to augment their skills, to free them from all that repetitive, high-volume grunt work so they can focus on what people do best, critical thinking, deep investigation, and complex problem solving. And this, right here, shows that partnership perfectly. You've got the AI doing its job, handling the insane volume, clearing out all the routine alerts, and scanning millions of data points in the blink of an eye. And that lets the human do their job, focusing only on the complex, high-risk cases where their deep legal knowledge and strategic thinking really, really matter. This whole approach actually has a name. It's called the human-in-the-loop model, and it's a fancy way of saying that a human expert is always the captain of the ship. They make the final call on the really tough cases, and, just as important, their feedback goes right back into the system, training the AI and making it smarter and more accurate over time. It's a virtuous cycle. So, that all sounds great in theory, but the big question is, does this human-machine team-up actually work in the real world? Well, the results, they speak for themselves. The impact has been absolutely massive. Just take a look at this chart. It shows you the difference in a really stark way. With the old systems, you had this massive mountain of false alerts, all that noise we talked about. But with the new AI system in place, that mountain gets cut down dramatically. And if you want a hard number, here it is. This AI agent slashed the number of false positive alerts by up to 40%. Now, in a world where people celebrate a 1 or 2% improvement, cutting the noise by 40%, that's a total game changer. So what does a number like that actually mean in practice? It means that with 40% less garbage to sift through, those expert analysts can now pour all of their energy into genuine threats. They're catching the real criminals faster, and they're protecting the financial system way more effectively.
Now, the success JP Morgan had here isn't just an interesting story about one bank, it's bigger than that. It's basically a blueprint that could completely reshape how we handle high-stakes monitoring in all sorts of other fields. So why is this agentic AI so perfect for this kind of work? Well, it really comes down to three superpowers. You've got speed, the ability to monitor in real time in a way no human ever could. You've got scale. It can look at millions of things at once without breaking a sweat. And you have objectivity. It finds patterns based purely on the data without any of the human assumptions or biases that can creep in. And I want you to think about that for a second. This model, where an AI does the initial heavy lifting and a human provides the final expert oversight, you could apply that almost anywhere you have a massive data problem. Imagine it processing insurance claims or detecting cybersecurity threats as they happen. The possibilities are huge.
And that really leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on. We've just seen how this technology can act as a powerful guardian for our entire global financial system. So the real question now is, what other critical systems will we ask it to protect next?